Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayana Namaskrutyam Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudirayed Nashtaprayeshu Badreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtaki. Reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 3, The Status Quo, Chapter 29, Explanation of Devotional Service, Text 4. Kalasya Ishvara Rupasya Kalasya Ishvara Rupasya Kalasya Ishvara Rupasya Paresham Cha Parasya Te Paresham Cha Parasya Te Paresham Cha Parasya Te Swarupam Bata Kurvanti Swarupam Bata Kurvanti Swarupam Bata Kurvanti Yathetoho Kushalam Janaha Yadheto Kushalam Janaha Yadheto Kushalam Janaha Kalasyeshvara Rupasya Paresham Cha Parasyate Swarupam Bata Kurvanti Yadheto Kushalam Janaha Kalasyeshvara Rupasya Paresham Cha Parasyate Swarupam Bata Kurvanti Yadheto Kushalam Janaha Kalasyeshvara Rupasya Paresham Cha Parasyate Swarupam Bata Kurvanti Yadheto Kushalam Janaha. Kalasyeshvara Rupasya. Kalasya of time, Ishvara Rupasya, a representation of the Lord, Paresham of all others, Cha and Parasya, the chief, Te of you, Swarupam, the nature, Bata, Oho, Kurvanti, perform, Yat etoho, by whose influence, Kushalam, pious activities, Janaha, people in general. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace Abhay Charana Arvinda Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Translation. Please also describe eternal time, which is a representation of your form, and by whose influence people in general engage in the performance of pious activities. Kindly repeat. Please also describe eternal time, which is a representation of your form, and by whose influence people in general engage in the performance of pious activities. Purport by Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. However ignorant one may be regarding the path of good fortune and the path down to the darkest region of ignorance, everyone is aware of the influence of eternal time, which devours all the effects of our material activities. The body is born at a certain time, and immediately the influence of time acts upon it. From the date of the birth of the body, the influence of death is also acting. The advancement of age entails the influence of time on the body. If a man is 30 or 50 years old, then the influence of time has already devoured 30 or 50 years of the duration of his life. Everyone is conscious of the last stage of life, when he will meet the cruel hands of death, but some consider their age and circumstances, concern themselves with the influence of time, and thus engage in pious activities, so that in the future they will not be put into a low family or an animal species. Generally, people are attached to sense enjoyment and so aspire for life on the heavenly planets. Therefore, they engage themselves in charitable or other pious activities. But actually, as stated in Bhagavad Gita, one cannot get relief from the chain of birth and death, even if he goes to the highest planet, Brahmaloka, because the influence of time is present everywhere within this material world. In the spiritual world, however, the time factor has no influence. Thus ends the Bhaktivedanta purport. Om Ajnanaatimirandasya Gnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitamena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Namam Vishnupadaya Krishna Prishtaya Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swamin Niti Namine. Namaste Saraswate Devi Gaurvani Pracharane Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Pashyata Deshatarane. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadara Srivasadi Gaur Bhaktarunda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama Rama Hare Hare. Devahuti is inquiring her son also to describe about the eternal time, along with the devotional service and detachment. And the next topic that she wants to learn is about eternal time. And so she is asking her son to also describe about eternal time. And she also says that time is a representation of your form, and by whose influence people in general engage in the performance of pious activities. Prabhupada explains in the purport that people wants to have enjoyment, and because of which they want to perform pious activities so that they can be elevated to the heavenly planets by performing those punya karmas. In Bhagavad Gita, Krishna explains about 5 topics. The 5 topics are Ishvara, Jiva, Prakriti, Kala and Karma. And Prabhupada in the introduction of Bhagavad Gita explains that this Kala is eternal. Out of the 5, Prabhupada explains that 4 are eternal and 1 is temporary. Ishvara, Jiva, Prakriti and Kala are eternal and karma is temporary. So the influence of time, people in general, while speaking, they say, in our time it used to be like this, in our age it used to be like this, now the time has changed. Actually, time is just running, time is just passing by. But the life of the people, the lifestyle of the people has changed. The people has changed, and not the time as such. Time is just running. But people have changed, lifestyle of the people have changed. If you go back around 100, 150 years back, the lifestyle of people, at least in India, was different. Now the lifestyle is different. Same way, if you pass by another 50 years or later, it will be still more different. Because people are adopting to different lifestyles. And also many places we hear the words, the proverb saying, time and tide wait for no man. So, time is just elapsing, and it indicates us. How do we get the indication of elapsing of time? Time is going on. How do we get the indication? In Brahma Samhita, it is explained, Etchakshures savita sakala grahanam raja samasta suramurti rashesha tejaha yasyaghnaya brahmati samvrita kala chakro govindamadi purusham damaham bhajami. The Kala Chakra is going on. On whose direction? On your direction. Govinda, Lord Govinda's direction. I worship Govinda, the primal Lord, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, under whose control even the sun, which is considered to be the eye of the Lord, rotates within the fixed orbit of eternal time. The sun is also rotating on an orbit. And also, here in the purport, Prabhupada explains, the body is born at a certain time and immediately the influence of time acts upon it. From the date of the birth of the body, the influence of death is also acting. From the day one of the birth, the death is also acting side by side. The advancement of age entails the influence of time on the body. If a man is 30 or 50 years old, then the influence of time has already devoured 30 or 50 years of the duration of his life. If a man total lifespan is 100 years, and if he has passed 30 years, that means the time has devoured 30 years of his age. Remaining only 70 years is left. There is a verse in Bhagavatam, 2nd canto, which explains this fact. It states, Ayur harati vaipum sam udyannastanchayannaso. Both by rising and setting, the sun decreases the duration of life of everyone. By rising and setting, what this indicates? It indicates the time, elapsing of time. The sun has risen and the sun has set, means so much of time is over, has been elapsed. So indication of time we get by rising and setting of the sun. And Bhagavatam explains, by rising and by setting, the sun decreases the duration of life of everyone. The sun decreases means the time is acting. We have elapsed so much of time. So it is the characteristic of the material nature also to change. Prabhupada explains in the introduction of Bhagavad Gita that material nature, the characteristic is transformation. Material energy or Prakriti, which is the external energy of the Lord. Prakriti is external energy of the Lord. But the ingredients of the material nature, material energy, is matter. The ingredients of the material energy is matter. And that matter is not eternal. The energy of the Lord, material energy, is eternal. But the ingredients of the material energy is temporary. Matter is temporary. Matter undergoes transformation. But material energy is eternal. Prabhupada explains this in the introduction of Bhagavad Gita. What is material nature? This is also explained in Gita as inferior Prakriti, inferior nature. The living entity is explained as the superior Prakriti. Prakriti is always under control, whether inferior or superior. So, living entity is also Prakriti. But Krishna says as Aparayam. Living entity as Apara Prakriti. Means superior. Living entity is Para Prakriti, superior energy. And material nature is Apara Prakriti, inferior energy. So, living entity is also Prakriti, material nature is also Prakriti, but living entity is superior energy and material nature is inferior energy of the Lord. And energy of the Lord, both are eternal. But the ingredients of the material energy is matter, and that has transformation, but that is temporary. Prakriti itself is constituted by three qualities: the modes of goodness, the modes of passion, and the modes of ignorance. Above these modes there is eternal time, and by combination of these modes of nature under the control of purview of eternal time, there are activities which are called karma. So, activities in combination with material energy and time is called karma. These activities are being carried out from time immemorial, and we are suffering or enjoying the fruits of our activities. The manifestation of Prakriti may be temporary but not false. Manifestation of Prakriti is temporary but not false. Brahma Satya, Jagan Mithya. Jagan Mithya in what sense? It is not false, but it is temporary. The manifestation is temporary. Some philosophers say that the manifestation of material energy is false, but according to the philosophy of Bhagavad Gita or according to the philosophy of Vaishnava, this is not so. The manifestation of the world is not accepted as false, it is accepted as real but temporary. It is likened unto a cloud which moves across the sky, or the coming of the rainy season which nourishes grains. As soon as the rainy season is over and as soon as the cloud goes away, all the crops which were nourished by the rain dry up. In the rainy season we can see all around very much green. But when the rainy season gets over, all those crops again will dry and become yellowish in color. But this cycle of changes in the season is going on constantly. That is eternal. That is material nature. But the manifestation of these crops and all those things are temporary. Today it is green, tomorrow it is yellow, dried. Similarly, this material manifestation takes place at a certain interval, stays for a while, and then disappears. Material manifestation takes place, stays for a while, and then disappears. Such are the workings of Prakriti. But this cycle is working eternally. The cycle is going on by the Prakriti. Cycle is continuously going on. Therefore, Prakriti is eternal, it is not false. Prakriti is eternal. Material nature, material energy is eternal, but it is not false. And also Krishna says, Daivi esha prakriti mamamaya duratya. Prakriti is my energy, my divine energy. So, material nature is eternal, but material manifestation is temporary. So, material nature which is eternal is not under the influence of time. But material energy, but the material manifestation is under the influence of time. Exactly the same way, the soul is eternal. And when the soul accepts a material body, the body undergoes transformation. So the body is under the influence of time. But the soul, which is eternal, is not under the influence of time. The body which the soul accepts is under the influence of time. The body which is given by the material nature is a product of the material nature. The body is a product of material nature and it undergoes transformation. And it is under the influence of time. But the soul is not under the influence of time. So, influence of time is on temporary things, not on eternal things. That's why Prabhupada explains in the purport also, at the end of the purport, Prabhupada explains, in the spiritual world, however, the time factor has no influence. Because in the spiritual world, there is nothing material. Everything is spiritual. So there is no influence of time factor on spiritual things, on which is eternal. But there is influence of time factor on material things which undergoes transformation. So soul is an eternal and has no influence of time. Only the body has under the influence of time. So this body which is given the material nature is again, it is temporary, it is not false. So whatever activities the soul, the body is performing, Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, Kartaham iti manyate, ahankara vimudatma kartaham iti mate. I am the doer. We think I am the doer. But those activities are performed by the body. And body is a product of material nature. And so activities are performed by the material nature. So then what is the soul doing? Krishna describes soul is sitting in the city of 9 gates and just desiring. We just desire Paramatma sanctions, sometimes not sanction also. And when it's sanctioned, the material nature, through the product of body, the activity is performed. And the results of the activities again comes to the soul. The reactions of the actions again comes to the soul. You should have to enjoy or you should suffer for those reactions. And what the soul is doing? Just sitting and desiring. For desiring, we should undergo all this cycle. So that is the reason in devotional service it is said, purify your desires. We should purify our desires. What is that purification of desire means? We should desire only Kama Krishna Karmarpana. Our desire must be only action for Krishna. Our action surrendered unto Krishna. Our desire must be according to the desire of the Lord. And that desire of the Lord, we cannot directly get it from the Lord. We get it from the spiritual master. Because the spiritual master is the representative of the Lord. And he directs us what is the desire of the Lord. How we should act according to the desire of the Lord. All these things, the spiritual master will give us guidance. So, according to the direction of the spiritual master, if we act seriously and sincerely, we will be acting according to the desire of the Lord. And such activities will not have influence over time. Because they are devotional activities. Prabhupada explains, or in the same verse of the Bhagavatam, Ayur harate vaipumsam udyanastan so tasyarte kshanonita uttama shloka vartaya. Both by rising and setting, the sun decreases the life of everyone, except one who utilizes the time by discussing topics of the all-good personality of Godhead. The sun decreases the duration of everyone except of those who utilizes the time by discussing topics of all-good personality of Godhead. That is Krishna, Uttama Shloka. If we discuss about the topics of the Lord, if we engage ourselves, if we engage our senses in the service of the Lord, then sun cannot take the duration of our life. Sun means the time. The time cannot take the duration of our life. Duration of our life means it is not that we will not die. The material body will undergo transformation, but the activities, whatever we are doing, that will not have to undergo further, enjoy or suffer the results of those actions. Devotional service is inaction. It has no reactions. There is no reactions for those devotional activities. If we perform pious activities, there is pious credits. If we perform impious activities, there is impious credit. And for both of them, we will have to take birth again in the material world. But devotional activity does not have any such credits. And if such actions do not have any such credit, means we will not take birth again in the material world. And as Prabhupada says, there is no influence of time in the spiritual world. If you go back to the spiritual world, there is no influence of sun, there is no influence of time upon us. But so long we continue our cycle in the cycle of birth and death, we will be under the influence of time. The sun will be constantly taking away the duration of our life. So, the Lord, the living entity, material nature and time are all interrelated and all eternal. However, the other item, karma, is not eternal. The effects of karma may be very old indeed. We are suffering or enjoying the results of our activities from time immemorial, but we can change the results of our karma or our activity, and this change depends on the perfection of our knowledge. Prabhupada explains this in the Bhagavad Gita introduction, where he says the effect of karma can be changed. So karma is not eternal. But the effect of the karma we can change. How we can change? That change depends on the perfection of our knowledge. An ignorant person who is ignorant about devotional activities, who is ignorant about the instructions of the Lord, he will be performing activities which has good and bad results. But when he receives the knowledge of Bhagavad Gita or such any other such literature, Srimad Bhagavatam, he will change his activities, he will change. So the change depends on the perfection of our knowledge. If we are in knowledge, we will certainly not do some things for which we will have to suffer. So that perfection of knowledge is knowledge in the Bhagavatam and Bhagavad Gita. So devotional service, devotion and devotional service unto the Lord is eternal and not temporary. Devotion unto the Lord and devotional service unto the Lord is eternal. It is not temporary. Or it is not under the influence of time or prakriti. Whatever devotional service we are practicing, it is not under the influence of time or prakriti. It is completely dependent upon our what? What influences our devotion unto the Lord? It is said in Bhagavatam, devotional service is ahaituki apratihata. Why? There is no influence of time upon it. There is no influence of material nature upon it. Then why we are unable to perform certain, at times we don't perform devotional service? Because the influence is our own free will, willpower. We don't execute our willpower to perform devotion unto the Lord. Prabhupada also says in one of the conversation, what is the difficulty to perform devotional service? And Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, Manmana madbhakto madhyaji mam namaskuru. Very simple way. Become my devotee, think of me always. Worship me and offer obeisance unto me. Such simple activities. And what is the result of such simple activities, performing such simple activities? By performing such sinful activities, you will come back to me. Such a glorious result it has. But still, why we do not perform devotional service? Why we are unable to think of the Lord always? Why we go back again into the material mic influence? Because of our willpower. We are not determined in executing our willpower for performing devotion unto the Lord. Prabhupada says, if at all you want to think of the Lord 24 hours a day, there is nothing that can stop you. Can anything stop you? Can anything stop us in thinking of the Lord 24 hours a day? Nothing can stop us. What is that is stopping us? We don't have that willpower. Yes, I want to think of the Lord always. We get influenced, we get carried away by so many things. Prabhupada says, if you are determined in thinking of the Lord always, nothing can stop you. It is only our own mind, our own willpower that can stop us in performing devotion unto the Lord and nothing else. There is no influence of time, there is no influence of material nature upon devotion unto Lord Krishna. It is only the influence of our own willpower. So, even in the nectar of devotion, in explaining about the characteristic of pure devotional service, Prabhupada explains again the same factor. In the sixth characteristic of pure devotional service, it says, pure devotional service is the only means to attract Krishna. Pure devotional service is the only means to attract Krishna. In that, Prabhupada explains how we are not determined to think of the Lord always. But devotional activities is divine. Devotional activities is under the direct control of Radharani. Prabhupada explains that in the nectar of devotion. Devotional service is under the control of Radharani. And Radharani is always attractive to Krishna. So devotional service attracts Krishna. This is how Prabhupada explains that characteristic of devotional service, the sixth characteristic of devotional service. So matter is under the influence of time and not material energy. Body is under the influence of time but not the soul. Karma is under the influence of time but not Krishna karma. Krishna karma is not under the influence of time. So Devahuti is asking here her son to describe about influence of time. She wants to know about the influence of time. And we will see how Lord Kapila will explain about this in the future verses. We'll stop here. Granth Raj Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.